Alright, hey guys, this is Adrian with Art of Transliness. This is week 3. The topic is parenting and fatherhood. And this is actually something that I spend like a lot of time thinking about. Not because, I don't know, I just like view my future relationship with my partner as like very romantic and very um, just like loving, and I want to like share that with kids. Like kids have always like been in like my life's plan. But when that will happen or how is like something that is very much up in the air as I'm single. And, yeah. Um, but I think about fatherhood a lot, and I think about like what I'm gonna do with my kids, how I'm gonna raise them, like the things I'm gonna like make them do, things I'm not gonna make them do, things I'm gonna let them do, and just like other things about that. Like I think into like my kids' future so much farther than like I think into my own, and that's like kind of weird. But I spend a lot of time doing that. It's a very like when I daydream, like that's what I daydream about like most of the time. Um, but the ideas that I have for like my raising my kids, which I will have several, two at least. Um, the ideas that I have like don't really have anything to do with my transition or my trans identity necessarily. Like, oh, I'm gonna like, I would like for my kids to like present like a weekly research project, like with my partner and I, and we will all have like a research project that we do every week about any topic, and we just have to present it like on Sunday nights or something, like as a family. And that's something that like I get all giddy about. Like, ooh, I wonder, like, oh, I bet like one of my kids will do like a report on turtles, and I'll teach them how to use PowerPoint, like, and they'll be like the youngest kid on the planet to be able to use PowerPoint, like shit like that. That's what I think about. But that really has nothing to do with like my trans identity. That just has everything to do with me being a parent, and I kind of like that. Thinking about just like parenting, but not like really having my identity like be a huge part of it. Like have it be more centered on my kids. Um, but I do think like there are. Zach and I talked about this in another video that we uploaded like maybe a long time ago about. I think I would be. I'm like more prepared to have girls like as children, than I am about having boys as children, because I've lived that, and I know what that looks like. And um, I know that I'll have my partner, who I am assuming is going to be female, to be able to help them, and I would be a resource too about dealing with like girl problems, um, or like queer problems, like queer girl problems or whatever. Like I have experience in that. But having a son gives me a little bit of anxiety, because I don't know, like, really. Not that I don't know how to raise a son. Like, I could raise a son fine, but like, there are certain issues that I don't have a lot of experience in. I don't know how, like, I just don't know how that would pan out. And I'm sure that I would like rise to the occasion. Like, it would be fine. I would like do a lot of research on it if I ended up having a son. But that's always like giving me a little bit of anxiety about like who's gonna sit you down and teach you like how to use a condom. Like, I have never like touched a condom. Like, just there has been no need for me to learn how to do that, or like I don't know. I don't know. That's just kind of weird for me. I'm gonna have to figure that out. But I do get a lot of like my ideas about fatherhood from my own father. I've looked to my dad for things to do, and I've also looked to my dad for things that I definitely won't do with my kids and to my kids. Based on my childhood, and that is like a valuable lesson that I've gotten from both good and bad experiences with my father. And not that I'm leaving mothering up to my wife. Like, I feel like um, the role of father and mother, like, I just want to be a parent. Like, being a father is just a label that like I'm excited about, but like it's not necessary. Like, I don't need to be that specific about that label. I just want to be a parent. Um, but yeah, how am I going to acquire children? That's like something that I need to address. I'm actually looking into getting a hysterectomy very soon. Actually, I might even have surgery like in a couple weeks. I haven't like really figured out the details on that yet, but I obviously will not be harvesting any eggs, and I obviously will not be able to bear my own children. I do not have any issues with not having biological children. In fact, that was something that I came to terms with a long time ago. Um, and it's just not really all that important to me. And I like am going to pursue someone who wants to adopt children, who values adoption, or who is adopted, or who had a sister, or like who had a sibling who was adopted, um, and like knows what that looks like, because I come from a family that did not adopt, and so I think that that's pretty valuable, and I want someone who's gonna know what that looks like. Um, but I think that adoption is fine if my um, wife wants to have children, which I think I would love that. Like, absolutely would love. I think pregnant women are like the most adorable like people on the planet. If she wants to have a biological child, to her at least, that is something that we can address. I have no issues with that either. There are some ways scientifically that they are developing like techniques to be able to harvest, um, basically to create sperm cells from adult stem cells that they can harvest from bone marrow. And if that's the case, then we both can have biological children. The only caveat to that is that we will only be able to have female progeny, because I will only ever donate an X and my wife will only ever donate an X. Again, I'm fine with just having girls for kids. And as that science develops, I'm definitely going to look into it just as an option. But again, I do not have my heart bent on having biological children at all. But the next thing that I want to address is, would I be out to my children? And I think I would be. I think that, again, planning ahead for my children's future, I do not want to live in an area that is bigoted, or basically I want to live in a very like academic and accepting area, in a part of the country where the climate towards LGBT people is cool and not a big deal. So keeping that in mind, I plan on raising my kids in the community, like out and about, and I likely will be out and about, and because I plan on being an activist for as long as I'm still got it up here, and that's just the plan. So I think that I'll be out to my children, and I think that it will be like pretty uninteresting, just like Zach said, just like it's going to be a fact of life. It's not going to be in their day-to-day life. Just like I couldn't imagine. Like, I was thinking about how often my parents' bodies was a topic of conversation, or something that affected me personally, and it was rarely the case. Like, it never affected me, and it was rarely a topic of conversation. And that's how I foresee it going with my kids' life as well. In regards to myself, my body likely will never be a topic of conversation, and it will be pretty uninteresting if it is, and that's just how it's going to be, and I think that's like best case scenario anyway for me. So that's my idea on fatherhood and children. And I said a lot really quickly, so sorry if you kind of have to rewind, but I hope you are well, and I will see you next week.